Chapter 2966 Moment God Han Sen's expression changed. He stared at Golden Growler, whose body still had its activeness. Golden Growler's life force was not gone yet. Compared to the last time he had seen him, his life force was weaker by a considerable amount. His body still had that pouncing forward position. His claws faced the God Temple's gate. He looked like he was just frozen where he was. What is going on? What happened to Golden Growler? Han Sen's face did not change. He could not figure out what was going on just yet. The demon lady seemed to understand Han Sen was focusing on Golden Growler. She looked at the God Temple and Golden Growler and said, "Mister, that is the God Temple of Moment God." Back then, when all those God spirits descended, Moment God was there. He was a God spirit that governed time. If I see things correctly, then Golden Growler must have been struck by his moment forever. That moment lasts forever. I am afraid his life will see it trapped at that moment. He will never escape that. Han Sen hurriedly asked, "A high-level God spirit? How are the levels of gods determined? How would you define Moment God's power compared to the creatures of the universe?" The demon lady replied, "From what we know, God spirits have 4 levels, which are destruction, disaster, annihilation, and reboot. If you are talking about his power, that is hard to judge. High-level God spirits are stronger than low-level God spirits. That is for sure. Because all the God spirits took over the universe's creatures when descending, their powers are affected by their bodies. The best they can be is true God class. They cannot go any higher. Even annihilation God spirits were easily killed by the Master. In the God Temple, it is hard to gauge the power of a God spirit. Back then, I, Old Vulture, and the others had top-class treasures and God personality armaments, but could barely fight a disaster-class God spirit. Moment God is an annihilation God spirit. In the God Temple, I was unable to fight him. When he descended, the Master was able to heavily injure him. He fled back to the God Temple after that. Han Sen frowned and said, "I have the Holy Kirin to fight him. Which do you think would be stronger?" The demon lady and Old Vulture were shocked. They quickly said, "Mister, you must not do this. The Holy Spirits were made by Sacred Leader to kill God spirits, but they were designed to be used by 4 spirits combined. You also need the Race Lanterns buff. That is how you kill top-class God spirits. Right now, the power of the Race Lanterns are being used to break the space barrier, and there is only one Holy Spirit. If you just use the Holy Kirin, I am afraid with that power, you will only be equal to a disaster God spirit. With the power you have, Mister, you cannot attempt to challenge an annihilation God spirit." Han Sen stared at Golden Growler in front of the God Temple, and did not speak. Golden Growler was just frozen and motionless. Han Sen felt that his life force was fading. He guessed that Golden Growler's life force would probably be depleted within a few years. The demon lady seemed to understand what Han Sen was thinking. She quickly said, "Mister, it will not be too difficult for you to defeat Moment God. From what I know, for a disaster God spirit, there is a no-world God. Its God personality armament has no world power. It will not be limited by time and space. Mister, you can kill no-world God first, get no-world God's God personality armament, and then use the God personality armament's power to fight Moment God. Your likelihood of success would be greatly increased." "Dad, little Gold seems to be in pain. Should we go and save him?" Bauer had been lying on Han Sen's shoulder. She was looking at Golden Growler in front of Moment God's temple. Han Sen stayed silent and did not speak. He saw space was disrupted by a roaring sound. A girl with a snake-like body and a green giant beast traveled through space. They were heading for Moment God's God Temple. Han Sen recognized the green-haired big beast. That green-haired big beast was the one who stole Golden Growler away from him in the first place a long time ago. Han Sen did not know the identity of the woman who looked like a snake. It seemed to be someone from the Ghana race. Old Vulture looked at the snake-like woman and asked with shock, "Huh? Does the Ghana still have a true god elite in their midst? Why have I not heard about such a person before?" The demon lady looked at the woman and quietly said, "In legends, the Ghana Alpha had a twin little sister. When she was young, she was taken by a big beast. I think there is an 80% to 90% chance that it is that person there. If things are really this way, I think there is an 80% to 90% chance that the big beast that took her is Beast King Growler from Empty Mountain. Back then, Empty Mountain Leader was a good friend of Sacred Leader, Old Vulture said. He disappeared after he went to the Geno Hall. I did not expect his bloodline to continue. It is a shame he got stuck in the God Palace. Red Ghost shook his head and said, that Ghana woman and the green-haired beast are the top-class creatures of the universe. But it is crazy that they want to go to Moment God's Hall and save Golden Growler. That is a bad move. While they were talking, the Ghana woman and the green-haired Growler entered the proximity of the God Palace. They were going to attack Moment God's God Temple. Little Mountain Leader, we are coming to save you, the green-haired Growler roared. His body was brimming with a green light, and he was spitting out a pillar of green light. It was headed for Golden Growler. The green pillar suddenly reached Golden Growler by a distance of about 3 feet away, but the green light pillar could not cross that 3-foot distance. If one was able to fast-forward this by 100 times faster, one would have seen the green light pillar go forward. The speed of it trying to go through was so slow that it looked like it was not even moving. As Hansen watched, he was shocked. Golden Growler's body was covered by a lasting time area that was similar to Time Ghost. The time area's power was far stronger than Time Ghost area. With the green-haired beast's powerful power, in that time power, it looked like it had stopped moving. It had not really stopped moving. The green-haired beast's light pillar was fading while it was in that time power. It was extinguished now. There was not even a light left. The Ghana woman's hands clutched a crystal ball. The crystal ball had some red light, but the light was being absorbed by the time power outside of Golden Growler. It was not able to erase the time power inside. Boom, boom, boom. Moment God Temple's door opened. A female God spirit body, which looked very tall and slim, emerged. She was wearing black, tight armor. She looked cold. She did not look human at all. With every step she took, space was like the surface of a rippling lake. It was like there were many vortexes in space. When Hansen saw Moment God, he was shocked. Moment God's face and presence looked exactly like Moment Queen. No, it was more like Moment Queen looked like Moment God. Compared to this, Moment Queen was just like a weaker version of Moment God. The presence and atmosphere were different. What is going on here? Many different ideas coursed through Hansen's heart. Chapter 2967. Fighting in a God Palace. Looking closer, there was something different. But the two of them were very similar. They each had time elements. It made Hansen start to think of something else. Does this mean Qin Xiu got a God spirit? So, does a part of a spirit came from God spirits? Hansen thought. The green-haired beast madly roared. Let Little Mountain Leader go. The green pillar of light came out of its mouth. It was headed for Moment God. The Ghana woman gathered up power. She made a crystal orb of light spread. It became many waves that added to the green light beam. It was like an amplifier. It made the green light beam much bigger. It was like a God light that could destroy the world, headed for Moment God. Moment God's long jade legs stood in front of the God Temple's door. It was like she could not see those scary beams of light. She only coldly looked at the green-haired beast and Ghana woman. The green beam of light came directly before Moment God. It was like a stone falling into a lake. The waves were in front of Moment Goddess. They could not get any closer to her. They could not harm her. One thought in heaven and moments become forever. Moment God looked at the green-haired beast and the Ghana woman. They used all their powers, but they still could not hurt her. After she emotionlessly spoke, she lifted her jade right hand. She reached out her fingers and pressed the air. Moment God's fingers touched space. People were able to see waves spreading. Under the waves, time was like it was frozen. Everything stopped running. The green-haired Growler kept his position, spitting out green light. The Ghana woman continued to hold the crystal ball. She was still attacking. Everything stopped. Even the green light beam was like a glass freezing the air. Moment God walked forward. The green beam of light ahead of her was breaking like shattered glass. It was splitting in both ways. It was as if it was forming a path for Moment God to traverse. Seeing Moment God enable the destruction of everything that came in her path, Golden Growler, the green-haired beast, and the Ghana woman were no longer able to move. Han Sun was planning to do as the demon lady suggested. He was going to go to No World God, to take his god personality armament, and save little gold. Seeing the situation as it was, they did not dare slow down. He placed Bauer on the ground. He was going to use galaxy teleportation to reach the god palace he sought. Bauer immediately jumped up. She clutched Han Sen's back and climbed around his neck as she said, "Bauer and father are going to save little gold." Seeing Moment God almost walk in front of Golden Growler and the others, Han Sun did not dare to slow down. He used galaxy teleportation to go in front of the god palace. The god palace had a weird power. Han Sun was unable to teleport directly inside the god palace, so he had no choice but to fly inside. After entering the god palace's area, Han Sun felt his body go dim. It went heavy. It was like some invisible pressure was raining down on him. He felt like the Geno Hall and the God Temple were hell. The place commanded a terrible aura of authority. Seeing that Moment God was going to touch the green-haired beast ahead, Han Sun used galaxy teleportation again. This time, it went smoothly. He arrived in front of Moment God Temple. The Cause Karma knife was burning with the Holy Kirin's holy light. Han Sun slashed toward Moment God. A sky full of confused people saw someone go to the God Palace. They did not know who dared to get killed near Moment God Temple. Anyone was able to tell that the true God-class green-haired beast and Ghana woman did not stand a chance. Even Golden Growler, who had ended up in first place in the God fight list, had been trapped in front of Moment God Temple. To the creatures of the universe, Moment God was invincible. After looking closely, it was very shocking. Godfather Han Sun. Shocked voices were heard all over the universe. Sky Palace leader was playing chess with Isha. When he saw this, his jaw almost hit the floor. That kid, what is he doing there? It is an annihilation class god spirit. Is that something he can even touch? Isha felt weird. That student had surprised her too many times. She had grown numb to his spectacles. What is Godfather Han thinking? Does he really think he is the father of those gods? All of the creatures were talking about it. Han Sun had done a very good job when lighting up the crystallizer lantern. This time, it was a god spirit in front of him. And it was not any ordinary god spirit. Even Golden Growler, who was number 1 on the god fight list, was frozen before it. What was the point in him going? Mr. 9000 King, the demon lady, and the others were all feeling a lot of regrets. They wished to pull Han Sun back, but he was already in the god hall. It was too late to call him back now. They were all heavily injured too. They did not have the power to go to the god palace and back him up. The green-haired beast and Ghana woman were watching Moment Goddess approach, but they were unable to move. They thought they were going to die. Suddenly, white knife air came slashing through the space between them. It slashed onto the waves of time and cut open the wave of time. It was like a volcanic eruption, and it was headed for Moment God. Moment God's eyes looked a bit weird, but it was only for a moment. Her fingers pressed onto the white knife light. Her fingers' power broke the knife light. The knife light exploded into white dots. When the time wave had been slashed open, the green-haired beast and Ghana woman were free once again. Their bodies fell to the floor. They got up and looked around. Thanks for helping. It is you. The green-haired beast and the Ghana woman wanted to say thank you. When they saw the person was Han Sun, their eyes opened wide. Their faces were full of shock. They were surprised and could not believe it. They felt all sorts of complicated emotions. When the green-haired beast took Golden Growler away from Han Sun, he never thought a day like this would come to pass. He was just a crystallizer child. He did not think he would accomplish much. He never imagined he would become deified. Now, he had become a true god, and he slashed open Moment God's time god power. That kind of power was not something they could challenge. You do not need to thank me, Han Sun coldly said. I am here for little gold. I will make you pay later. Seeing the green-haired beast be so loyal, and still choosing to go to Moment God Temple, Han Sun did not hate him as much as he thought he would. Golden Growler and Little Flower's situation were a bit different. Golden Growler only accepted the Growler's legacy. Little Flower was in sacred leader Qin Xiu's hands. Thus, Han Sun was willing to let the green-haired beast go, but he had to destroy the Holy Palace. There was a difference between them. the green-haired beast loudly shouted. If I was able to save little mountain leader, even if you got us killed, I would not hesitate. It is not that easy. Han Sen's face bore a wry smile. His last strike had exhausted all his power, and Moment God had broken it with one finger. Both of their powers were not on the same level. Han Sen looked at Golden Growler. He was still sealed by the Time God power. The power that trapped Golden Growler was much stronger than the one that went onto the green-haired beast and Ghana woman. Chapter 2968 times goes back. Han Sen's body flashed. Knife light slashed in front of Golden Growler. He wanted to break the Time God power on Golden Growler and set Golden Growler free. Golden Growler had been trapped there for a while. Moment God hadn't killed it, which meant that Golden Growler had the capital to fight Moment God. If he was able to save Golden Growler, perhaps there was a chance. Even if it was hard to fight Moment God, they could still possibly escape. Moment God looked very cold. She did not have any emotions. The 10 fingers on her hands came together. The very 10 fingers made a weird print and pressed forward. Suddenly, the whole of the God Temple's space underwent strange changes. Han Sen saw the slash that almost hit Golden Growler go back. Things felt as if he was in a video that was rewinding. Time rewind. Han Sen was shocked. It was very scary that she could stop time almost forever. But it was even more threatening to learn that Moment God could actually rewind time. Even if it was only for a moment, it was too scary to try and comprehend. Go! Han Sen coldly shouted. He went backward. He wanted to use his teleportation power to exist Moment God Temple. Moment God had her time rewind power. Even if he risked his life, the likelihood of winning was low. The green-haired beast and Ghana woman knew the situation was terrible. They used all of their power to try and leave Moment God Temple's radius. Moment God's print tied up again. Time rewound again. Han Sen and the others teleported. They all went flying backward. Moment God's body moved. She walked over to Han Sen, who had just come back. Her hand reached out for him. Han Sen was still falling back in the river of time. His body was still going through what he had just done. He was unable to change his movements. His power burst out, but it was useless. He could see Moment God's palm was going to touch his back. Blurg. Han Sen coughed up some blood. His body instantly ripped space. He flew out of the God Palace like an asteroid. He was not stopping either. He hit a planet in the universe and blew up the planet. Dust was everywhere. Creatures from every race were frozen as they watched. Even Godfather Han was unable to beat that enemy. Moment God's scariness was deeply realized within the heads of every living thing. Moment God looked at where Han Sen had flown to. She looked weird. It looked as if she was trying to confirm something. She stared at the planet Han Sen had blown up. The green-haired beast and Ghana woman took advantage of the time when Moment God did nothing. They left Moment God Temple. Moment God did not seem to care about their departure. She stared at the dust in space and ignored them. Han Sen felt as if his entire back was broken. It was too painful for him to move. He held strong against the pain and used his galaxy teleportation to return to Space Garden. He teleported halfway. His body was in too much pain. He fell out of the teleportation in the middle of the jump. Bauer caught him in space. She held him and teleported him the rest of the way. They returned to Space Garden. Bauer put Han Sen down on the bed and asked with a real look of concern, "Dad, are you feeling better?" "Not bad. I am still alive at least." Han Sen used a lot of power to speak. More blood came out of his mouth. "I will go and get Little Silver," Bauer said. She jumped away and eventually brought Little Silver to the side of his bed. Little Silver had very much enjoyed Space Garden's xenogenic genes, and Han Sen had fed it the high-level Thunder xenogenic gene. Furthermore, Golden Growler had given him ancient Thunder God origin, which had greatly accelerated his ability to level up. He was a primitive deified now. The ancient Thunder God origin in particular had helped Little Silver a lot. It made his genes better. Although his attack power was not very strong, his healing power was far greater. "No. It is okay. I am fine." "Arg." Han Sen wanted to refuse it, but Little Silver's lightning landed on him. It made Han Sen's brain feel numb as he screamed. "Take off my robe first," Han Sen said while holding in the pain. Bauer quickly held Han Sen up. She took off his blue and black striped robe. When she saw his back underneath the robe, she screamed. The back of the robe had a big hole in it. The hole was shaped like the woman's hand. It was where Moment God had struck him. Han Sen saw the hole of a hand in the robe. It made him develop a wry smile. Fortunately, this robe blocked a little. Otherwise, even if I did not die, I would only have half my life left. Han Sen turned around and laid down on the bed. The spell armor on his back had the print of a hand as well. Fortunately, it did not pierce through him. Even so, Han Sen's backbone had almost been destroyed. It was very hard to cast power across his body. Annihilation class god spirits sure are scary. I couldn't even use a super god spirit body to challenge it. Han Sen wanted to get up, but Little Silver amplified the amount of lightning he was using. Han Sen's body felt very itchy and numb again. He screamed again. Arg! Little Silver's thunder healing was not bad. It helped Han Sen's true god body, but the treatment process was as awful as ever. After Han Sen felt a bit better, he was going to let Little Silver go. Little Silver insisted on fixing him. He kept releasing lightning to electrify Han Senator. It made his legs go soft. It was a shame Little Silver was only primitive class. After he used all of his thunder power, he was still unable to patch up Han Sen's entire body. Okay, I am feeling much better now. Han Sen held his pain in and got out of bed. He looked outside the room and saw Moment God Temple in space. Moment God had returned to her God Temple somehow. One was no longer able to see her. Golden Growler was still trapped in the plaza in front of the God Temple. It looked like Moment God was not in a rush to kill it. Or, perhaps she was afraid of something and decided not to kill Golden Growler. Han Sen sighed. As long as Golden Growler was not killed, he had a chance. Han Sen thought, I wonder if that Annihilation Sky God crown with my xenogenic body can save Little Gold from Moment Temple. He did not think his chances were very high. Moment God's time rewind was too scary. Whenever time was reversed, Han Sen was unable to do anything to combat it. Even with powerful power, he could not cast it. Unless I can stay in Super God Spirit mode, I will not be affected by time rewind. Then I can save Little Gold. Han Sen looked at Moment God Temple and Golden Growler. His face kept changing. Chapter 2969 Breaking Point. Old Han, are you okay? Wang Yuhang and the others were looking at Han Senator. They had been there for a long time. They heard Han Sen screaming for a while, so they had not entered until now. I am fine, Han Sen said. I can at least say that I am alive. Xiaqing King asked. Did you notice that the god spirit that defeated you looked like Moment Queen? Han Sen nodded. I am starting to think the spirits inside the sanctuaries are partially created from the god spirits of god spirits. Xiaqing King's eyes turned bright as he said, I think so too. If that is true, is there a god spirit that looks like me? What? Are you going to have a reunion with him? Wang Yuhang asked with a smile. I am going to beat him, Xiaqing King seriously said. I will not allow another me to exist in this world. Ha! If that god spirit is as strong as the one that beat Han Sen, you will be killed. Wang Yuhang was not being very supportive. You can't say that. But it is a shame that I am not a true god, Xiaqing King said while stretching. It is pointless for me to think of achieving that victory anytime soon. After they said that, it reminded Han Sen of something. The creatures in the universe that evolved to that level seemed to be as far as they could take themselves. All of the creatures were only capable of becoming true god and no higher. There was no room for improvement. If one wanted to become stronger, one had to practice all kinds of geno arts to increase their geno arts. It was either that or get their hands on special treasures and god personality armaments. That was the only way to improve one's battle power. Han Sen felt that even though he had changed to xenogenic mode, his pure power was still worse than Moment God. Unless he had the buffs of powerful treasures and a god personality armament, he would be unable to fight her face to face. Han Sen looked at Little Angel who was near him. People say they must be away when they drive the car ahead. When the flowers go dim, you can find the village. Now I do not have the power to level up, and God spirit genes cannot be absorbed. Maybe other people cannot level up, but maybe I stand a chance. Little Angel's face was pretty and calm. When she was not in the battle angel mode, one couldn't tell she was actually very powerful. Little Angel has just become primitive now. If she becomes a true god and combines herself with me, she can probably strengthen my fitness by a considerable amount. With all her tricks involved, it might be what I need to tackle Moment God. Han Sun made his mind up. He was going to help Little Angel become true god. If he was able to get Xie Qing King, Wang Yuhang, Huang Fujing, and others to true god class, that would help as well. That was especially true of Moment Queen. If she reached true god class, that would be of great service. Leveling up to true god class cost a lot of energy, but Han Sun needed to save Golden Growler as soon as possible. Raising one true god would be hard enough. He did not have the time to build a big enough stockpile of resources to get everyone to true god. Resources. 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 I need resources. Space Garden's resources are only sufficient for bringing someone to primitive class. To keep leveling up, we need more resources than what Space Garden can provide. Where can I get more resources? Han Sun kept thinking. If he wanted more resources, he would have to fight for some. Aside from that, there did not seem to be another valid option. Whose resources should I take? The first thing Han Sun thought to plunder were the spoils of the Extreme King's territory. The Very High had a lot of power, and there were a lot of elites there. Going to Outer Sky would not be very easy. The ancient god always saw the dragon heads, and never the tails. They did not have many resources stored. Taking ancient god's resources was pointless. As for Sky Palace, it was full of elites. Han Yin was practicing in Sky Palace, and Isha was in Sky Palace. He could not go rob Sky Palace of all of its resources. That was the main reason he let Sky Palace's first seat go. Once again, that leaves the Extreme King. Han Sun kept thinking about it. He pondered deeply about how he should go about it. He did not think he could just kill the Extreme King. The Extreme King had been in operation for many years. There were lots of elites in that race, but they also had countless troves of treasure. Even if Han Sun used his Holy Kirin and was not afraid of fighting them one-on-one, he was not strong enough to fight the entire Extreme King race. While Han Sun wondered about how he should start stealing resources from the Extreme King, he saw the God Palace be approached by a scary creature in space. The God Temple the creature was at the bottom of the God Palace. It was like the thunder god that was eaten by Ghost Car. It was just a destroyed class god spirit. Even so, it was difficult to determine if the scary creature could defeat the god spirit. In the end, it did not manage to kill it. It was almost killed by the god spirit. When it broke its legs, it made a hurried departure from the god temple. While Wang Yuhang and the others dispersed, Han Sun took Ancient Abyss Grandmaster out of Destiny's Tower and locked him up in Purgatory Heaven that Zero managed. In Purgatory Heaven, Han Sun looked at Ancient Abyss Grandmaster and asked, "Grandmaster, can you answer a few questions?" Ancient Abyss Grandmaster was like an old monk meditating. After a while, he opened his eyes and coldly replied, "What difference does it make if I give you answers or not? If your answers satisfy me, perhaps I will let you live," Han Sun said. Ancient Abyss Grandmaster shook his head. "I know a lot of your secrets now. If I were you, I would not let you live at all. Grandmaster is very smart. I won't let you leave, but I can have you live here temporarily, right?" Han Sun laughed and said, "With Grandmaster's tricks, perhaps one day you will find a way to escape." "You are right. If I live, there might be a chance of that happening." Ancient Abyss Grandmaster seemed to be very accepting of this. He raised his head and said, "One question for a 10-year extension of my life." "Sure. But you need to answer at least 10 of my questions," Han Sun said. "If you cannot answer the question, the deal is void." "Fine." Ancient Abyss Grandmaster quickly answered. After thinking for a moment, Han Sun asked, "What do you know about the 9 Defense Palace?" "Do you mean about the spirits?" Ancient Abyss Grandmaster coldly replied. "Yes." Han Sun was delighted. He did not expect Ancient Abyss Grandmaster to know about the spirits there. Ancient Abyss Grandmaster was silent a moment before saying, "I actually don't know much. I only know that when Sacred was destroyed, Mr. Alpha obtained Sacred Leader's research." A part of it was about spirits. There was, of course, Nine Defense Palace. The matters about Nine Defense Palace are articles of knowledge. Only the king and future kings are eligible to learn. I only know a little. I only know that Mr. Alpha wanted to use spirits to create a powerful weapon. It would have likely been a holy spirit similar to the Holy Kirin. Did it pan out? Hansen asked. Ancient Abyss looked at Hansen and asked, "Is that your second question?" "Yeah," Hansen answered. "I think so," Ancient Abyss Grandmaster said. "The king had a treasure that lasted a long time, but no others have seen it. Everyone who saw that treasure is now dead. In the history of the Extreme King, a few disasters were corrected solely by the existence of that treasure. I think that it was a weapon the Extreme King used spirits to create." Chapter 2970 Light Well Hansen emerged from Purgatory Heaven 30 minutes later. He returned control of Purgatory Heaven to 0. The Extreme King really is not simple. I cannot go to King's Kingdom yet, but it will not be hard to harvest the Extreme King's resources first. Hansen rested in Space Garden for a few days. While he relaxed, he investigated the resources Extreme King possessed. Extreme King's kingdom had the most booty to plunder. Aside from Extreme King's kingdom, there were many other locations he could think about taking resources from too. Hansen kept looking and picked a place that was more suitable for Little Angel. There was a xenogenic space called Light Well. In that xenogenic space, many wells had light energies in them. The energy holes had deified xenogenic plants inside them, which were called Light Well lotuses. The legends claimed that the Extreme King had been growing those Light Well lotuses. It was unknown how many years it had been, but there must have been a lot of Light Well lotuses. Because the Light Well lotuses did not initially belong to the Extreme King, and it was the Extreme King that destroyed another race to claim them. What happened with the Light Wells was something many people knew about. After the Extreme King took over, they blocked that place. They stationed many soldiers there to guard it. Supposedly, there was one extremely strong deified elite sitting there. So ordinary races did not dare do anything to the Light Well. Hansen did not care about that too much. He was going to attack the Light Well. While Hansen was resting, he saw the universe's true god creatures challenge the god spirits. Most of them failed. There were only 3 combatants that had proved successful in their bouts. One of them was Ghost Car. Out of the 3 of them, only one chose to replace the god flag and god spirit's position to become a new god spirit. They had only challenged a destruction class god spirit. Moment God was an annihilation class god spirit, so nobody dared to challenge her. Although Annihilation class god spirits were stronger, even Disaster class god spirits were not something other people or creatures wanted to challenge. The Extreme King's army that guarded the Light Well was always the same. They were in a space fortress scanning the space around to prevent an intrusion or possible invasion. After all those years, no xenogeniac had dared attempt an invasion. In their hearts, they were no longer on constant alert. A worker who was in charge of observation said, "Ha! It looks like something has reached the entrance of the Light Well." "Are you joking? Can something reach the Light Well's entrance? Do you think our Extreme King Space Fortress satellite and battleships are broken?" Another worker laughed and looked disdained. They were the last defense of the Light Well. The defensive line in front had no movement. They did not think anything had reached where the worker claimed. "There really is something. Ha! It is wearing black armor. Hang on. That is Dollar." After the worker enlarged the camera's video feed, he saw a person standing at the entrance of the Light Well. After he saw him clearly, he screamed, "Dollar? What Dollar?" His coworker was confused and could not react. The worker earlier immediately replied, "What other Dollar could it be? He was inside the godless fight." Golden Growler gave Dollar the first place position. All the workers looked at the videotape. They saw a man wearing armor. He was standing at the entrance of the Light Well. Before they could see things clearly, the person had already punched the entrance to the fortress of the Light Well. He broke open the entire fortress, revealing the inside of the Light Well. Hansen scanned the Light Well. He saw that in the large place in space, there were no stars. He was able to see an asteroid of an inverted cone shape. It was hanging in space. Upon making that discovery, He noticed that this asteroid was much larger than the average planet. There was a circular hole in the asteroid's platform. Inside the hole, there was a lot of light. It was like a spotlight had been switched on. In some energy hole, there were light lotus flowers that were 30,000 feet long. Under the shining light of the hole, it looked crystallized. It was like a crystal flower from some dream. The light well had a lot of energy in it. Since it was like a well, it was hard to calculate how much. Most of the lights were very dim and colorless. It looked like all the energy had been used. Only a small amount of the light well was bright. Only that small part of the energy still had light lotus flowers. There was a giant energy well that looked like a sky hole in the center of the light well. After looking inside, he saw there was a light lotus. It was the size of a space fortress. Han's son felt an extreme and scary life force stemming from the light lotus. He felt happy. True God-class plant xenogeneics. Han's son thought it would be great if he could get some transmutation or larvae light lotuses. He did not expect there to be a big guy there that was true God class. Who dares come to the light well? An old voice asked. It was coming from the light well. Han's son turned around. He saw an extreme king elder sitting on a lotus platform on the light lotus. His whole body was doused in the lotus light. Half of him was just light. He did not seem real. Do you not know me? Han's son was surprised by the fact the old man in the lotus did not recognize who he was. Not many people in the extreme king did not know who he was by now. Why would I know who you are? The old man coldly asked. It does not matter if you know me or not. You just need to know that the light well belongs to me. After speaking, Han's son summoned his Sky Vince Radish God Lance. A god personality armament. The extreme king old man's face changed, but he did not emerge from the giant lotus well. He reached out his hand and picked up a giant green metal umbrella. The green metal umbrella's light protected the whole lotus flower. Han's son did not mind that. He thrust the lance at the extreme king elder. Not even a top-class true god xenogeneic was able to block Han's son's power with the Sky Radish God Lance. The extreme king elder did not dodge or flash away. He forced the green metal umbrella to block the light. Dong! Under Han's son's lance, the green metal umbrella's light was messed up, but it was unable to pierce through the metal umbrella. The giant light lotus below shivered and shook. It looked a little bit dimmer. Han's son suddenly frowned. He stared at the metal umbrella the old man was holding and the giant light lotus. It was like he had noticed something. The elder coldly said, "My process umbrella is already a part of this light lotus." 2971 lotus. Han's son understood that the old extreme king did not know what sort of trick he had just used. He was able to borrow the light lotus power and use it on the green metal umbrella. If Han's son attacked the extreme king old man, the power he used would only harm the light lotus. If Han's son wanted the light lotus, he could not kill the extreme king old man. You have a good plan. Han's son squinted his eyes and looked at the extreme king old man. There are many primitive light lotuses, the extreme king old man said with a laugh. Consider them as a gift from me. The extreme king will still have nothing to do with you. Isn't that perfect? What he said was kind of soft and hard. It also made sense. If he was an ordinary person who could not get the true God-class light lotus, he would not make things any worse by offending the extreme king. But Han's son was very determined to get the true God-class light lotus. He was not going to leave now. Han's son did not speak. He looked at the primitive class light lotuses around and waved his lance. He broke the light lotus. Deified xenogeneic hunted. Light lotus. Deified xenogeneic gene found. All the light lotuses were cut by Han's senator. Many announcements played in his head. Han's son collected the light lotuses he cut down and threw them into his destiny's tower. Deified xenogeneic hunted. Light lotus. Deified xenogeneic gene found. Deified beast soul obtained. After killing 100 light lotuses, he finally received the beast soul announcement. He looked into his sea of soul. Deified beast soul light lotus. By SEM-type incomplete. Han's son was not in the mood to take a look at what the light lotus by SEMA could do. He continued slashing all the light lotuses around. He received 213 light well lotuses. Out of them all, he only received one beast soul. After he got all the light well lotuses he could, he went back to the giant light well lotus. He looked at the extreme king old man and said, "For by king's sake, if you leave now, I will not kill you." The extreme king old man's expression changed. "You are being such a bully. Are the extreme king really that easy to bully? Does that mean you are not going to leave?" Han Sun looked at the old man as he spoke. "I am not leaving. What are you going to do to me?" The old man opened the green metal umbrella and coldly laughed. Han Sen's eyes looked weirdly shiny. He stared at the old man's eyes and slowly asked, "Do you think that umbrella will safeguard your life? Maybe I cannot beat you, but if you want to kill me, this lotus will be destroyed," the old man said with certainty. "Really?" One of Han Sen's eyes suddenly released some weird light. His eye turned a blood-red color. In the next second, Han Sun had already gone right through the light of the green metal umbrella. He entered the old man's eye by using the Blood Eye Evil Eye Beast Soul Eye skill. Blurg. Blood was coming out of the extreme king old man's right eye. Even the back of his head had a bloody gaping hole. Han Sun was holding the Skyvine Radish God Lance when he reappeared behind the extreme king old man. Green sprouts grew out of the old man's wounds. They kept absorbing the extreme king old man's life force. Arg! The old man held his eye and screamed. He wanted to swing the green metal umbrella he possessed. He had only moved an inch when Han Sen's lance cut off his arm. The old man was terrified. He used his other hand to pick up the one that had been lopped off. He then picked up the green metal umbrella and flew away. He disappeared in the sky at the speed of light. "Go home and tell Bai King I used my life to get this," Han Sun said to the elder as he fled. "I deserve it." Bai King knew that the holy baby was Dollar, and he had almost got the holy baby killed. Han Sun used Dollar's identity to take the light well lotus as a demand for respect. Chapter 2972 Resources delivered. Han Sun was a bit frozen from shock. He had no idea what was going on. He had robbed a lot from many different xenogenic spaces that belonged to the extreme king. Aside from that old man at the light well who challenged him, no one dared stop him when he reached the other places. They did not stop him, and they were like refugees waiting for the army to help them. They opened the gate and prepared vehicles. They gave Han Sun whatever he wanted. They were afraid Han Sun was not being able to be given enough, like a person not eating enough food, because there wasn't enough to go around. What happened? Did all the people in the extreme king suffer a brain stroke? Han Sun had a confused expression. He was expecting some strong and hard battles, during which he could kill all the people he wanted to for fun. Now people were very passionate and willing. They were happy to provide him with whatever he requested. They even gave him cars and vehicles. He couldn't kill them after that. He called an extreme king manager forth and asked him what was going on. The manager politely said, "According to Mr. Dollar's question, the answer is that the leader claims you are a VIP for the extreme king. Just tell us if you need anything. If there is not enough, he can tell the leader. He will have whatever you need to be sent to you from different places." Han Sen's expression was weird. He was thinking, what is wrong with Bai King? Han Sun was not sure if Bai King wanted to hurt him by telling him to go to Starter King's land. Now that he was doing this, it just made Han Sun all the more confused. Is it because Bai King knows that he cannot defeat me? Does he want to avoid his losses by concocting another scheme entirely? Han Sun was not able to think of a valid reason for all of this. After robbing a few more places, Han Sun was no longer having any fun. He was going to use the excuse of avenging Bai King. That way, he had a reason to loot and plunder. Now even Han Sun thought this was all too weird. If I don't take it, then I don't take it. If he gives it to me, why should I not take it? Han Sun made his mind up to keep robbing, but he had already robbed 18 extreme king xenogenic spaces. He took countless deified xenogenic genes, and the extreme king did not show a single speck of resistance. They provided Han Sun with everything, and he felt good about it. Ultimately, it was too much for Han Sun to rob. He made a few calculations. The resources he had were enough to support Little Angel in becoming Butterfly class. The resources required to become True God class were not things one could find in any xenogenic space. Even if Han's son wanted to collect more, aside from King's Kingdom, there were not many places like the Light Well that had true God-class resources. Never mind. Let me take Little Angel back and check it out. If it is not enough, we can always come back for more. Although Han's son thought that, if he was going to have to take more, it was not something he fancied doing. Han's son took a lot of resources back to Space Garden. He asked Qin Xian to bring people to make genofluids in secret. Those resources had to be hidden. Otherwise, people would have easily figured out he was Dollar. Thus, Han's son did not allow the flower god people to help him compose the genofluid. The flower gods were now under Han Sen's complete control. The technology for all sorts of genofluids was owned by Han Senator. He told the humans, spirits, and creatures that came from the sanctuaries to help Qin Xian. Regarding the flower gods, Han's son did not treat them poorly. The resources in Space Garden were all handled by them. They also kept a cut of the genofluids they created. Little Angel had many genofluids, so it accelerated her development. She quickly evolved. In less than 2 months, she was butterfly class. Ordinary creatures that evolved that quickly would not understand their newfound abilities. He has a body like Qin Xiao, but he does not have blue blood. You'll never know. You can use it like a brick, but the item itself does not have battle power. Okay, you should think of a powerful title now. Once you have a god name, you can really enjoy the powers of being a god. You said there were only 12 annihilation god spirits, Han Sun said. If I use the sky god crown, will I count as one of the 12? Will I have to go and guard the Geno Hall? You do not need to, God answered with certainty. Did I not tell you? You are not a real god spirit. You do not take on the responsibilities of God's spirits. Han Sun knew that God was not a liar, but he was still disappointed. If he could go to the Geno Hall, he would like to see what the interior of that place looked like. Seeing the empty god flag, Han Sun thought for a few moments and said, I will call myself the god of wealth. I love that name, and it goes with my name Dollar. Huh. God heard Han Sun's god title and laughed. He weirdly looked at Han Sun and said, Your god name is very happy. It's not bad and very creative. I know, right? This title is great. Han Sun knew that God did not mean it, but he did not mind. The front of the white god flag now had the word wealth on it. The back displayed the words God of. The flag shone with a god light. It flew out of the god hall and stuck to the god temple's door. The moment the god flag went there, the sky god crown on Han Sun's head shone brightly. Many mysterious messages emerged from the sky god crown, which made him understand many things. I see it now. Han Sun was feeling mysterious messages. He suddenly seemed to really understand what it was like to be a god spirit. He was not clueless anymore. Aside from what God said, the god spirits had other powers. It was better than what Han Sun expected. God spirits earned the buffs of a god temple, and the buffs did not merely apply to immortality. There was a god power buff. The higher level the god temple was, the more god power he would receive. Han Sun had that annihilation class god temple. It gave Han Sun god power buffs. It made his battle power increase another level. That buff only worked in his god temple area. If he left the god temple, the god power buff would be gone. There was also a special god spirit authority. That special authority only belonged to god spirits. Every god spirit had its authority. Different god temples and different god spirit powers and different authorities. Han Sun did not know what other powers god spirits had. The god spirit authority he received was called wealth. If any creature paid with their lifespan, Han Sun could bless them with some wealth and give them significant wealth for a short amount of time. Of course, god spirit authorities could only be used when that person paid a sum of their years. The scarier thing was that the wealth Han Sun gave did not just come out from nowhere. It used the wealth that the person would have in the future. You know a lot about god spirits, Han Sun coldly said as he looked at Fox Queen. Fox Queen was shocked. She lowered her head and said, I have just heard a thing or two. Okay, you go home. Come back and pick up the 9-spin destiny mirror in 3 days. Han Sen sent Fox Queen away, but then he was quite angry. Women are the evilest. You better watch out, Fox Queen. I will make you cry for your mommy and daddy. Chapter 29 Moment God after Fox Queen's departure. Han Sen did not think this was right. Why had Fox Queen appeared right then and there? She had not selected any other god spirit. She had just happened to choose him, who had only just appeared in his own god temple. To be able to do tricks in a god palace, it must be that god. Han Sen started to think it must be related to God, who was possessing Guwaner. No way, I cannot keep using this god temple. If it keeps opening, perhaps something bad might happen. Han Sen thought about this and put away his sky god crown. He left his god temple. After Han Sen put away the sky god crown, the god of wealth temple shut down. Because there was no god inside the temple, no one could go there and challenge it. What does that god want from me? In the god list's fight, the one in second place was only able to earn a destruction class god personality armament. Even if I was in first place and leveled up one more, I would just receive a disaster class god personality. Is it not too much to give an annihilation class god personality armament to someone? Han Sen was confused. God must have done all of that on purpose. Now that he thought about it, even that God would not have expected Golden Growler to give him the first seat. There was no way he would have expected that. Was that decision made immediately? Han Sen still did not think that was right. Han Sen was not able to come to a conclusion he liked, so he stopped wasting time. He looked at the sky full of god temples and scanned it for no world god's temple. He wanted to fight no world god first. When Han Sen discovered no world god temple, he noticed no world god's god temple was still shut down. He is not here. That depressed Han Senator, judging from the experience he had as a god spirit. God spirits only had 3 ways to shut down their god temple. Ordinarily, they were only allowed to shut down a god temple for a short period of time. That allotted time was the only time a god spirit could leave the god palaces. They were not able to be gone for a long time. Every time after using that permission to leave, it would be a long time before they were allowed to leave again. The other way was if the god spirit had been slain once. It did not matter if the god spirit was swapped. If the god spirit was willing, they could shut down the god temple for an entire month. Of course, they were not likely to give up that right. The longest time a temple could be shut down was for the duration of time a god spirit possessed a creature of the universe. If they left their god temple like that, their temple could pretty much be closed forever. No one was able to challenge them. One had to wait until the god spirit returned. Then, the god spirit's ability to be challenged would be re-enabled. Fox Queen entered the temple and made a wish. Every creature saw that. Although they did not know what happened after Fox Queen exited the temple, it gave people very strange feelings. Many creatures wanted to go to the god temples for the creation of wishes. They had all sorts of wishes to make. The god spirits would not mind those people coming to make their wishes, either unless it was for some special reason. Otherwise, not many god spirits would have killed the wishers. But that was in the future. Han Sen did not have time to care that much. After he went silent for a bit, he flew toward a god temple amid the god palaces. No world god was not there, so Han Sen selected another god spirit that was disaster class. He wanted to see how strong a disaster class god spirit was. Is that Dollar? It is him. The universe's god list first elite is challenging a god spirit. What god list first elite? Golden Growler gave that to him. Regardless, Dollar's power is very strong. I wonder what level of god spirit he will challenge. It will most likely be a destruction class one. He kept using the Dongxian Sutra and pumped all the power into Dongxian aura that he could. He tried to use absolute power to control the spinning of the universal cogwheels. In xenogenic mode, my power is better than the average true god. I still do not know if it is enough to suppress a disaster class god spirit. Han Sen kept using the Dongxian aura to give pressure to the time universal cogwheel. The time universal cogwheel could not be stopped completely, but the speed of its spin was slow. The effects on Han's son weakened. The xenogenic power cannot suppress disaster god spirits. Han's son frowned. Time's delay had little effect on him now. Under the effect of the Dongxian aura, Moment God's own time boost was slowed down. It made his speed slow down. Adding this and taking away that, Han's son turned active. He was not going to keep teleporting to fight Moment God. Dong! The Sky Vine Radish God Lance was able to hit Moment God's claws for the first time. The God power hit the lance's light. It triggered a scary explosion and shockwave. Han's son flew away through space by a few thousand miles. Moment God's legs had 2 very deep footprints on the God Temple Plaza. He can affect my time God power. It is no wonder he is so cocky. He dares to challenge me. Moment God's eyes flashed. The needles in his eyes kept spinning. They looked scary and weird. He said, "If you think this can fight a god, you are wrong. I will let you know the difference between a mere creature and a god spirit." After that, Moment God's claws dug into his own eyes. There was one in the right and one in the left. Catcha! Seeing blood being spilled as the 2 sharp claws poked into his eyes, Moment God unplugged his eyeballs right out of their sockets. This was different from what Han's son was expecting. Inside the sockets, God lights flickered. The eyeballs, which had been dug out, were not the only ones. Many eyes started to come out. One by one, eyes rolled out of the God light socket. Roar! When Moment God madly roared, all the eyeballs in his eyes were dug out. There were 12 of them. He put his hands together. He made a bracelet out of the 12 eyeballs. They went across his crossed hands. There were still streams of blood coming out of his eyes. Han's son looked at the eyeball bracelet. All those eyeballs were like circular watches. All of the needless were jumping to an unspecified rhythm. But all the eyeballs were pointing to a different point in time. Han's son looked closer and discovered that each watch was 1 hour later than the others. Time is like a ruler. 1 mark is 1 scar. Stupid low-life creature. How dare you insult a god spirit? Today, I will wipe you from the annals of history. I will let all the cheap creatures know that they cannot offend a god spirit. Moment God's hands were holding the bloody eyeball necklace. His eyes were still bleeding god blood as he spoke his words of madness. After Moment God crazily spoke, his fingers flicked the eyeballs. The necklace was instantly brighter. It covered the entirety of space. The god flag that had Moment God's title suddenly turned white. The god temple started to look dim. It turned into an empty temple with no god spirit. What is going on? How has God spirit not been revived? Everyone was shocked. They did not know what was happening. The god spirit that claimed to be immortal did not respawn. Han's son was confused too. After he hunted Moment God, he only received one announcement. Disaster class god spirit hunted, Moment God. The announcement was just that one simple line. No god spirit or god spirit gene was received. It was different from what Han's son had slain before. What is going on? Is it because of Super Spank? Or is it a problem with my Super God Spirit mode? Han's son suddenly had many ideas running through his mind. On the other side of the God Temple's plaza, a body stood where it was. It was looking at Han's son with much shock. After a moment, that shocked face suddenly had a weird smile and said, "Dollar really is legendary. 1 lance enabled you to slay a god. In the universe, you really must be number 1. Bai King." Han's son turned around. He felt weird. He knew Bai King was already there, but he did not know why Bai King had come there now. Obviously, Bai King had arrived there in the hopes of saving him. If he had not used his Super God Spirit mode, Bai King would have come there to take Moment God's strike on his behalf. Han's son did not think his relationship with Bai King was that good. So far, everything Bai King did confused Han's Senator. Han's son looked at Bai King and asked, "Why? This place is not appropriate for us to talk. Let us find another place to talk." After speaking, Bai King left the god palaces. Han's son followed Bai King and flew away from the god palaces. He really wanted to know what Bai King's motive was for treating him the way he was all the time. Han's son and Bai King disappeared after leaving the god temple, because the god palaces showed up again. It was a place everyone could see from across the universe. Every race was able to witness what happened near the god palaces. After leaving the god palaces, unless they were close to Han's Sun, no one could see them. This act made the universe blow up. Every creature was shocked and confused. Aren't god spirits immortal? What is going on? How was Dollar able to murder a god spirit? What just happened? Why didn't Moment God revive inside the god temple? Oh my god! Dollar can really slay god spirits. It looks like god spirits are not invincible. They claim to be immortal, but he was killed by Dollar. The whole universe was talking about Han's Sun killing a god spirit. The invincible image of god spirits seemed to have crumbled a bit. Han's Sun and Bai King had just left the god palaces. They were looking for a quiet place to talk when the god palace's god temple suddenly shone very bright. Chapter 2985 Kill Sky. God teleporting so fast through broken space made the scary power from behind become weaker. When Han's Sun exited the broken space area, he did not see that annihilation god spirit follow. Bai King must have halted its pursuit. The spirit weapon the Extreme King made was stronger than the Holy Kirin. That is surprising. Han's Sun was shocked, thinking of how that thing came from the Extreme King Alpha. It must have been handed down generation after generation. It was unknown how many xenogenic spirits had been built into it. It was not impossible for it to possess such wild strength. It was enough to fight an annihilation class god spirit. Han's Sun still thought it was too ridiculous. Why does Bai King treat me the way he does? Han's Sun thought. That was what he wondered about the most. In the past, Bai King was in a rush to save him in the god temple. He was so surprised. Now, Bai King was willing to fight an annihilation class god spirit to save him. That made no sense. No matter what, let me get out of here first. Han's Sun was silent. He did not dare return to Space Garden yet. He teleported to the outskirts of the Big Barren systems. He was afraid the god spirit would trace his retreat into Space Garden. If it followed him there, he feared things would not go so well. Going to the outskirts, Han's Sun went into the Big Barren systems again. He wanted to use the hidden power inside the Big Barren systems, so that the god spirit would not find out where he was. He would then be able to escape with Han's Sun's identity. Han's Sun had only just entered the Big Barren systems when he heard some thunder rage above his head. The space around cracked. It resulted in it all cracking like a spiderweb. That god spirit tore through space and managed to catch up. I thought that after a god spirit was possessed, their powers were restricted by their bodies. I thought they could only be true god class at best. This god spirit's power is way better than a true god class. Han's Sun frowned. Han's Sun looked at the god spirit and asked, "Where is Bai King? I kill Sky God wanna kill. Not even God can stop me. And he is just a creature in the universe." Kill Sky God was holding his god hammer. He was floating in space and coldly looking at Han's Sun as he spoke. Han's Sun heard Kill Sky God's tone of voice and felt a flush of relief. It seemed as if Bai King had not been killed by him. Kill Sky God raised the hammer in his hand. In a voice laden with disdain he said, "The slayers of gods should be killed. No one can save you now." Kill Sky God used one hand to hold the giant hammer and swung it down. It was like the whole of space had become some brittle glass beneath the hammer. It just broke with the strike of the hammer. Han's Sun's eyes froze. His body was suddenly full of light. He entered Super God Spirit mode again. The shattering space had not left any marks on him. The Skyvine Radish God Lance brought some cold light forward. It was thrust toward Kill Sky God. With a look of disdain, Kill Sky God raised his hammer to attack the Skyvine Radish God Lance. Han's Sun flashed away holding the lance. He went behind Kill Sky God and thrust it through the back of his head. Super Spank. Han's Sun was still in Super God Spirit mode. He used Super Spank's power at max capacity. Kasha. The tip of the lance broke behind Kill Sky God. It sounded like metal shattering. It was like some metal had been sucked into a blender. God light and sparks were everywhere. The tip of the Skyvine Radish God Lance only went in about 5 inches before not being able to proceed further. Super Spank's power was not enough to completely destroy Kill Sky God's substance chain. It only shattered a few of the substance chains that were outside. Kill Sky God waved his big hammer as Han's Sun had to pull his lance back. He used galaxy teleportation to get away from that system. There was a chance that she would emerge from Destiny's Tower, not knowing who was a friend and who was a foe. Whatever you are, just go to hell. The symbols on Kill Sky God's hammer were like suns. The weapon was striking toward space. The God symbol that was hanging in space suddenly branded space with a God symbol. In the next second, the symbol shattered. As the symbol shattered, everything inside the symbol turned to dust. It did not matter if it was a planet or sun. Although it did not explode, it released energy. In just a second it had become a substance. Even with a buff off a God skill, he would have been unable to destroy his body with the Skyvine Radish God Lance. If he had a buff from the Holy Kirin's Holy Spirit, there was a chance of success. If he used the Holy Kirin's Holy Spirit now, he would expose the fact that Dollar was Han's senator. Fortunately, no one knew Han Sun was human. Even if he exposed himself, the God spirits would not come after him for a while. As for the future, Han Sun would just have to wait and see how it all shook out. Catcha. While Han Sun prepared to summon the Kirin's Holy Spirit to possess the Skyvine Radish God Lance, he suddenly heard something crack open far away in space. In the space around, Han Sun and Kill Sky God's power broke everything into dust. There was nothing left to break. Han Sun heard that sound. He thought it was terrible. He turned around and saw Destiny's Tower display a crack. It had probably endured too many hits. Before Han Sun reacted, a gold, holy light came out from the crack. There was suddenly a blonde lady rising from the crack. Her blonde hair was waving as much as her clothes were. Wanner was sleeping inside Destiny's Tower. Now Wanner had become the blonde-haired lady. Her whole body released a weird blonde light that made her body look like a dream. It did not look real. Wanner looked like Han Sen's super God spirit mode. But it was a bit different. Wanner's eyes were open. Clearly, she had gotten rid of her sleeping mode, but her gold eyes still had no focus. She was like a zombie. Wanner. Impossible. How are you still alive? You cannot still be alive. When Kill Sky God saw the blonde Wanner, his face changed. It was like he had just laid eyes on a ghost. Even earlier, when Han Sun hit him, he did not have this expression. He still exhibited the pride of a God spirit. After seeing Wanner for a brief moment, he was freaking out. Han Sun thought it was strange how he had just lost it like this. Kill Sky God recognized Wanner, which did not make Han Sun feel weird. There was an 80% to 90% chance that Kill Sky God was one of the God spirits that descended way back when. It was not a surprise for him to have seen Wanner with the rest of Sacred. Seeing his face, he seemed absolutely terrified of Wanner. That made Han Sun feel like it was unbelievable. It all happened in a moment. Wanner came out of Destiny's Tower. Her unfocused eyes fell on Han Sun, which made him feel a chill. Cha! Wanner's body suddenly went blurry in front of Han's senator with Han Sen's vision. He was not able to see where she moved. Subconsciously, Han Sun fell back. He noticed that Wanner was not going after him. That pretty and soft body of hers went before Kill Sky God. She raised her right arm without any emotion. Her hand was like a knife slashing down from up high. The blonde hair and gold clothes were waving as she struck. Kill Sky God's face looked shocked. His hands were holding a giant hammer. He swung it at Wanner as he fell back. Wanner's hand was full of a golden flame. Chapter 2987 Got a God personality again. I was that strong. Han Sun was shocked. The most shocking thing about this situation came later. After Kill Sky God was injured, he was so shocked that he wanted to escape, but could not even turn around. Wanner's face displayed zero emotion. Her beautiful body was flickering like a ghost. Her hands were waving as she moved. Since she moved so fast, even with Han Sen's eye power, he only saw Wanner's body appearing and disappearing. Her hands possessed a lot of gold light as she flashed past Kill Sky God. When Kill Sky God turned his body to run, Wanner stopped. Her small body floated in space. She slowly turned and looked at Han's senator. Kill Sky God had only sprinted away about 30 feet before God blood was everywhere. His body was suddenly broken. It was worse than his body being hanged, drawn, and quartered. In the next second, Han Sun saw a God light in the sky, but it was hidden by the Big Baron system's Big Baron power. It did not go into space and create a God sadness. After Kill Sky God's god body was burned away, one part of his upper arm bone remained. That bone was around 3 feet long. It was shaped like a hammer and pitch black. It appeared very heavy, Han Sen thought. It looks like Wanner's power and mine are a bit different. The god spirit she killed left a god personality behind. The god spirits I kill leave nothing. Even the god personality was gone. Han Sen was not currently in the mood to think. Wanner teleported in front of Han Senator. He gathered up power and looked at Wander with alert eyes. The blonde Wanner might not have recognized him. Considering the power she had just put on display, she was not someone Han Sen believed he was capable of combating. Wanner arrived before Han Senator. The gold fire connected with Han Sen's white flame. The two powers melted into each other as if they were connecting. Big brother. Wanner looked at Han Sen with shock and fell into his arms. Han Sen held Wanner, which led to their flames extinguishing. It suddenly disappeared, and everything returned to normal. Big brother. Wanner misses you. She misses you so much. Han Sen looked at Wanner, but her eyelids became heavier and heavier. She tried her best to look at Han Sen, but she was unable to fight the sleepiness. She closed her eyes and went to sleep. Han Sen's expression looked a little distorted. Wanner's situation was very bad. Her life force was almost too weak for him to feel. It seemed as if she would die at any moment. Han Sen quickly took out a bottle of Geno fluid and fed it to her. But it had no effect. He summoned the light well lots too, but that did not help Wanner either. If you miss your big brother so much, you must hold on no matter what. If you die, I can never see you again. Han Sen picked up Wanner and took Kill Sky God's bone back with him. Nev Destiny's Tower's tower had a crack that went all the way up to down. It was like it had been broken by someone. Han Sen knew that it had not been broken by Kill Sky God. It was Wanner who had broken it while rushing out. Han Sen picked up Wander and entered Destiny's Tower. He sorted out the stuff inside. He had a conflicted expression. Everything was there except 2 people were missing. Ancient Devil and Ancient Abyss Grandmaster were gone. The stone platform and space by Sema were still fine. They were not damaged, but they were gone. I did not expect Ancient Devil would be able to escape, but that is fine by me. Han Sen shook his head. He put Wanner inside Destiny's Tower and put Destiny's Tower away. He was holding that Kill Sky God arm bone. Han Sen was thinking, right now, I have Evil Lotus God and Sky Armor God's God personality. This will be the 3rd God personality I have received. But Evil Lotus God and Sky Armor God were just Destruction class. They cannot compare to an Annihilation class Kill Sky God and his Kill Sky God God personality. Chapter 2991 Getting a God Personality. Han Sen had 3 God personalities. They were the Destruction class Sky Armor God and Evil Lotus God, as well as the Annihilation class Kill Sky God. Han Sen went to Evil Lotus God's God Temple. He wanted to see what type of armament Evil Lotus God's God personality armament was. Why is Dollar here again? Did he not just kill Moment God? Maybe he is a bloodthirsty mongrel. I don't know what level of God spirit he is challenging. It should be at least a disaster class 1. He killed a disaster class Moment God. So there is no way he is challenging something of a lower level. While everyone was discussing it, Han Sen walked into Evil Lotus God's God Temple. All the audience felt a little weird. What is going on? Why is Dollar challenging a destruction class God spirit? No. That God Temple must be shut down right now. He cannot challenge it. Why is he in there? What is going on? After a while, everyone saw the God flag on the God Temple start to shine. Before long, it went dim. The God spirit must have been killed. Han Sen quickly came out from Evil Lotus God's God Temple and went to Sky Armor God's God Temple. The same thing happened again. Han Sen quickly emerged from Sky Armor God's God Temple. Holy shit! What is happening? Dollar can enter a shut-down God Temple and slay the spirits inside? Is he cheating? Ordinary creatures did not know the difference between God Temples and sealed temples. They were all frozen. He is not leaving. Dollar is headed for the God Temple upstairs. He is not going to challenge a disaster god spirit again, is he? No. Dollar already challenged a disaster class god temple group. He is still going up. Does he want to challenge an annihilation class god spirit? He went in. He really went in. While everyone was watching, Han Sun pushed open the shut-down Kill Sky God Temple. He walked inside. The God Temple's door closed itself. Like the God spirits that descended died outside the God Temples. Only someone holding the God spirit's God personality can enter. Normal creatures did not kill descended God spirits. They did not know this method to enter the God Temple. Before Han Sun entered Evil Lotus God and Sky Armor God's God Temples, he killed the defenseless God spirits inside. They did not have God spirits, but he had received the God personality armaments. Evil Lotus God's God personality armament was a purple crystal lotus flower-shaped ring. Sky Armor God's God personality armament was a half-body armor. It was different from what Han Sun expected. He had been hoping for a weapon. Han Sun did not try out what kind of power those two God personality armaments wielded. He went to Kill Sky God Temple and saw Kill Sky God's empty shell God body standing atop the God altar. He looked very powerful but without anger. Han Sun already had the experience, so he knew it was just a useless empty shell that could not fight back. Han Sun's eyes scanned Kill Sky God. If he wanted to kill a God spirit, he had to destroy his God base. Otherwise, the God spirit's healing power would have been too strong for him to destroy. Evil Lotus God was a low-level God spirit. Han Sun was able to slash open his God body and find the God base with ease. An annihilation class God spirit like Kill Sky God was different. It wouldn't be as easy for him. Fortunately, Han Sun saw Kill Sky God be killed by Wanner. He saw it clearly. He knew exactly where the God base was, which saved him a lot of trouble. He was not going to use Super Spank this time. He was afraid of destroying everything, and then not being able to claim the God personality armament. In the end, he summoned his Sky Vine Radish God Lance, and pierced toward Kill Sky God's God body. The Sky Vine Radish God Lance was thrust into the empty shell that was Kill Sky God's God body's chest. Sparks erupted everywhere. The strike only damaged his skin a bit. He did not even bleed. Kill Sky God's real God body is stronger than the universe God body he used when he descended. Han Sun knew he would be unable to break a God base like that. He hesitated and summoned the Kirin's Holy Spirit. He made it possess the Sky Vine Radish God Lance. The Sky Vine Radish God Lance suddenly burned with white fire. Han Sun struck again. This time, the tip of the lance managed to perforate it a lot. It also ended up getting stuck within the muscles and bones. Han Sun thrust and thrust. He was busy for quite a while when he finally pierced through the blood and the bones inside. He saw the chest releasing a black and smoky heart. That is it. Han Sun's thrust the heart. He noticed the heart was even harder than the God bones and God flesh that had kept it protected. Han Sun held the Sky Vine Radish God Lance and attacked it for half an hour, before finally being able to pierce through the heart. He wiped away the sweat that had accumulated on his forehead and said, "Luckily, that guy possessed someone when he descended to chase me. If he had used this God body to fight me, my fight would have been harder." After completely destroying the heart, Han Sun quickly brought out the Kill Sky God arm bone. The God body turned a light substance and headed toward Han Sun's own arm bone. It all went into his bones. The black light of the bones grew stronger. It was floating inside Han Sun's hand. When all the light substance melted into his bones, the bone light looked dim. After the light was gone, Han Sun saw the arm bone become a black bone hammer. The bone hammer was far too cruel. The hammer was just a bit bigger than a fist. It was like a rubber hammer in a house. Why is this hammer so different when compared to the hammer Kill Sky God wielded? Kill Sky God's hammer was so much more powerful. What is this tiny thing for? Han Sun complained, but then an announcement played. Annihilation Class God Personality Armament received, Kill Sky Hammer. Han Sun looked at the Kill Sky Hammer. The name was very powerful and overbearing, but it looked very small. It looked like a black bone hammer. The head was a cylinder. Both sides of the hammer head had a God symbol. It looked old and mysterious, but Han Sun did not know what the two God symbols meant. When he and Kill Sky God fought, the big hammer had those two God symbols too. They likely represented his power. Just like before, Kill Sky Hammer had a message in Han Sen's head. Kill Sky Hammer Annihilation Class God Personality Armament. Seeing Kill Sky God get resurrected, Han Sen did not dare remain. He put the Kill Sky Hammer into his Sea of Soul, and swiftly departed Kill Sky God Temple. All the races of the universe were looking at the Kill Sky God Temple. They saw him emerge from the God Temple right when the God flag flashed. Then it went dim. Clearly, a God spirit had died inside the God Temple. Really? Dollar killed an Annihilation Class God spirit, and the temple was closed down. This seems fake to me. Does he play like that? All the creatures opened their eyes wide. They were not able to believe it. Han Sen had just exited the zone of the God temples when he saw Bai King floating in the air. He was laughing at him. Chapter 2992 Holy Body Geno Fluid. We must find a place to talk, Bai King said to Han Sen with a merry laugh. Okay. Han Sen wanted to know why Bai King saved him earlier, as well as why Bai King was happy letting him claim all the benefits he wanted. Bai King did not say anything. He merely led the way. Han Sen believed Bai King would lead him back to the Extreme King, but he did not. Bai King stopped on an asteroid. He then just sat on the crystallized asteroid. He smiled and waved at Han Senior. Sit. Han Sen sat down and asked, "Why have you come looking for me?" Bai King pointed at the God Palace in space and said, "You must have now seen the power possessed by an Annihilation Class God Spirit. If you are going solo, it will be impossible to win in your fights at the God Temple. If we combine our forces, perhaps we stand a chance. What do you think?" Han Sen checked Bai King out. He did not answer his question. He quietly asked, "Why me? Give me a reason." Bai King seemed to know that Han Sen wanted to ask that. He smiled and said, "It is very simple. It is because of it." Bai King stroked a ring on his finger. It was a metal ring with a black gem on it. There was no special power possessed by it. When one looked at it, one would believe it was an ordinary decorative ring. Han Sen had a closer look and thought, "This black gem looks like the black crystal horizontal evil gave me." Seeing Han Sen's reaction, Bai King smiled. He stroked the black crystal on the ring and said, "This ring is a treasure given to us by our Alpha. He brought it back from Sacred. The Alpha used to say that if a creature can make this ring create a reaction, the Extreme King must help that creature in any way they can. Only that creature can make the Extreme King free and powerful." "Has it reacted to me?" Han Sen asked with a frown. Han Sen did not believe Bai King was a person that listened to his Alpha. To become a king, all of them had incredible confidence and faith in themselves. They would not have listened to the ramblings of an old Alpha and listened to an outsider like Han Sen, who was their enemy. Bai King nodded and said, "Yes. This ring has been passed through many generations of our race, but it has never reacted before. We started to think that whatever Mr. Alpha said about it was not true. Over the billions of years waiting for it, the time has come. We waited billions of years, and are now finally here. When you are next to me, the ring reacts. It is so deep in the soul that only the person wearing the ring can feel it. It is so strong and clear. It was at that moment I knew you were the person the Extreme King had been waiting on for billions of years." Han Sen looked at Bai King and did not speak. That story would not have only existed in a storybook. Han Sen had a hard time believing that someone would remain that loyal to anything. It was not like the world did not have anyone loyal, such as 9,000 King, the Demon Lady, and the others. They were loyal to Qin Xiao, and Han Sen believed they were. The Extreme King was different. It was easy for one person to remain loyal. For everyone to remain loyal generation after every generation was not something Han Sen could believe. After 3 generations, one tended to forget their ancestors. If one person developed in a foreign country, no one would really remember their motherland 3 generations later. The Extreme King had been going on for many generations. If they said they still believed in the Alpha, whoever believed it must have had a problem in their brain. Bai King seemed to see through what Han Sen was thinking. He stroked his ring and said, "Of course, Mr. Alpha's speech was not the main reason I treated you so nicely. It was because in that speech, you were the key to the fate of the entire Extreme King. That means I have to treat you so well. What key? Han-sen asked. The extreme bodies of the extreme king come from sacred leaders' test subjects. It was something called holy body genofluid. If the holy body genofluid was a success, then all the creatures can activate their potential and gene origin power, so that their genes could evolve. Then every creature could get their super holy body. After speaking, Bai King looked at Han Senator. It seemed as if he wanted to ask something, but he did not ask anything. He continued with what he was talking about. Ever since Sacred collapsed, the holy body genofluid has not succeeded. Our Alpha used the half-finished holy body genofluid and received the special body. He used that special body to survive amidst the chaos and keep the extreme king alive. Is that special body a king body? Han-sen asked. Bai King nodded and said, yes, it is a king body. That special body plays a big part in genes, but it is different from normal genes. In the beginning, the extreme king people were able to activate their king bodies. Some geniuses were able to activate their king bodies by the time they were 15 or 16 years old. Everyone activated a different kind of body. As time passed, the bloodline kept becoming lighter and lighter. Now the extreme king people can only activate their king bodies by the time they reach king class. Most of the extreme king cannot activate their king bodies anymore. Han-sen looked at the ring and asked, what does any of that have to do with this ring? Bai King put the ring down and placed it in front of Han Sr. According to what the Alpha told us, that ring is a tool for testing king bodies. It will only work for a successful holy body. Han-sen took the ring and placed it in his hand. That very normal ring suddenly made his soul shake. It seemed as if it was able to make the black gem inside Han-sen moan and groan. Han-sen kept stroking the gem in the ring and thought, it is very amazing, but I feel the black gem in the ring is different from the black crystal. Mr. Alpha believed Sacred Leader had a backup plan, even for a time after this death. We believed someone would take up the mantle to proceed with his research on the holy body genofluid. We just needed to hold on to that ring and wait until the real holy body genofluid came out. At that time, our king bodies would be perfected. It would be a perfect holy body. It would not be like a king body that becomes a little harder to reach as time goes by. Bai King looked at Han-sen as if his eyes were on fire. If you want to get the holy body genofluid from me, you are wrong. I have never used holy body genofluid, and I don't know to make that stuff. After saying that, Han-sen threw the ring back at Bai King. Bai King picked up the ring, smiled, and said, we can talk about this another time. Today, I looked for you so we can cooperate for the killing of an annihilation class god spirit. Are you interested? Han-sen knew Bai King must have something more to say. He stayed quiet a moment before asking, which annihilation class god spirit do you want to kill? Moment god. Bai King slowly said those two words. Chapter 2993. United Rain slid down the roof. It landed on a stone board and created some bubbles. Looking outside, there was an old house at the peak of a mountain. There were also lots of other mountains. The rain created a layer of mist that draped the mountains. Crunch! The rain was very heavy. The door of the old house opened. Because the house was so old, the door made sharp noises. Even the sound of the heavy rain was not able to keep it down. The big door of the old house was pushed open. The first thing that appeared was an elegant pair of red high heels. Next, there was a white smooth jade leg and a red qipao. A woman was wearing a red qipao. She was holding a red umbrella. She walked into the house with her body wagging seductively. Her hair was like a cloud. Fortune teller, how long are you going to hide? The red-clothed woman with the red umbrella walked into the center of the old yard. She looked at what was in the house and spoke her words like a ghost. Her voice was soft, but the rain still could not hide it. The room had a door with flower carvings on it. It was pushed open. An old man stepped out with a flag. His other hand clutched a wine gourd. He was sitting on a broken square table. After taking a sip of alcohol, he looked at the red-clothed woman, who was outside, and said, if I were able to hide for 1 hour, I would hide for 1 hour. If I could hide for 1 more second, I would hide for 1 more second. I would rather survive for as long as possible than be dead. If I can live a bit longer, I will live a bit longer. The rain was too much. The umbrella was very low, so one was not able to see what the red-clothed woman looked like. Yet her ridiculously curvy body and long black hair, which looked like a waterfall, were very eye-catching. One may not have been able to see her face, but one could recognize her. I am afraid you would prefer death compared to living, the woman chillingly said as she stood in the rain. The old man laughed and said, "That means you are here to collect my life." "It depends on whether you are accurate or not," the red-clothed woman said. "That will determine if I take your life." The old man picked up his gourd and had another sip of alcohol. He squinted his eyes as he asked, "So was I accurate or not?" "You were accurate but also not accurate," the red-clothed woman replied. "I really don't understand what you are saying." The old man laughed as he asked, "Which is accurate, and which is not accurate?" The red-clothed woman was silent a moment before saying, "The prediction you did for my master was very accurate. The god palaces appeared again, but the other half is not accurate. The god palaces did not break through. They still suppress a full sky." The fortune-telling old man laughed. "Master is in too much of a rush. It is not time yet." "There is only a month left," the red-clothed woman said. "Even an annihilation god temple has yet to be broken. I do not see how the Geno Hall will be broken in a month. When the time comes, you will understand." The fortune-telling old man looked dull. He looked at the red-clothed woman and said, "But I suggested it first. Your master needs to do as the old man says. If there is no mistake, the prediction will come true." "I am here for that," the red-clothed woman said. "My master does not understand why he must do that. What does it have to do with breaking the god palaces? That person has the ability, but he has never reached that level. With his power, he cannot break the god palace. Predicting someone's fate is not easy. The old man traded his whole life to get this result. About the progress, I, the old man, cannot predict at all. If you do not believe the old man, you do not have to do it." The fortune-telling old man spoke, as if he did not care. "I hope you are right. Otherwise, you should know that if you make the master mad, even that guy in the Geno Hall will not save you. From now on, you stay here. Until that day comes, you can predict your life. You can't blame others." The red-clothed woman turned around and left after speaking. In the rain, she walked until the rain covered all vision of her body. The old man squinted his eyes and looked at the sky full of rain. He said to himself, "If I did not want to, do you guys think you can really find me and trap me here? You really underestimate me, Han Jinji." While he was speaking, the old man was holding the wine gourd and the cloth, which had the word destiny written down. He walked out of the living room and headed for the yard behind the old house. The raindrops dripped off the old man, wetting his clothes and hair. Only the cloth that told one's fortune did not touch any water. It was like it was immune to the rain. The old man walked to the farthest part of the yard, which was the highest point of the mountain. He waved his hand and walked a few circles in the yard. After a while, he calculated something. He paused for a bit before placing the cloth into the gap of the stone board. He walked back a few steps and looked at the cloth. He fixed the angle and position. With a look of satisfaction, he said, "The end is not the end of fate. I, Han Jinji, cannot change fate, but I will not let that moment be the end." After that, the old man walked back into the living room. He laid on the broken bed and yawned. He quickly fell asleep. Han Sun and Bai King spoke for a while. Han Sun then left the asteroid field. Bai King wanted to kill Moment God. It did not seem like a mere coincidence. He knew the relationship between Han Sun and Golden Growler, so he must have known Han Sun was planning to save Golden Growler. Bai King had also mentioned he had a way to break the time god powers that had claimed Golden Growler, which would allow Golden Growler to be set free. He could then use Golden Growler's power to fight Moment God. After everything came together, Bai King planned to kill Moment God. Bai King did have a request. After Moment God was killed, he wanted to be the one to take the God personality armament. Han Sun did not have a problem with that. He lacked the confidence for killing Moment God by himself. If it worked, he was fine with giving Bai King the God personality armament. In Bai King's plan, he needed to have Dollar do it. He also needed to cooperate with Han's senator, that very much troubled Han Sr. Bai King only knew Dollar was the holy baby. He did not know Dollar was Han's son too. He saw Han's son go to save Golden Growler, and he agreed with Han Sen's power too. He asked Dollar to contact Han's son, so that he could chip in and help them out. Han's son thought Bai King knew his secret, which is why he asked him. After Bai King's explanation, he knew he had no clue. Bai King only knew Dollar was the holy baby, and that the holy baby came from Space Garden. Thus, he guessed that Dollar was a good friend of Han's son, and wanted him to contact Han's senator. Bai King never imagined a crystallizer, and a xenogeniac would have been the same person. Where am I going to find a Han son for him? Han son had a wry smile. Although Space Garden had many elites, none of them had developed fully. He could not find anyone who was able to disguise himself as Han son or Dollar. Chapter 2994 Finishing Wish. Back in Space Garden, Han Sen had been troubled by the situation. Although he was able to use Han Sen's identity to reject the proposal, Han Sen had tried his hardest to save Golden Growler. This was a good opportunity. If he rejected the offer, Bai King might grow suspicious. Although Dollar and Han Sen's looked different, ordinary people would not suspect them as being the same. Unfortunately, people like Bai King knew Dollar was the holy baby. If Dollar and Han Sen were not able to show up at the same time, he could start thinking things weren't the way he presumed them to be. Han Sen thought, "This is far too troublesome for me, but I have no choice. I have to decline the offer." He was not able to think of an adequate solution. If he waited any longer for other humans and spirits to develop, by the time he was true God, he could find someone else to disguise themselves as him. Right now that was too difficult. Beezesty. While Han Sen was thinking, he heard a buzzing noise. It was like something was rapidly flapping its wings next to his ears. He looked closer. He did not know when it had appeared, but there was a small bee next to him. Han Sen thought it was weird. How was a xenogeniac be able to fly there? Where he lived had the protection of a Bysema. A xenogeniac of that level could not bypass the Bysema. Pang! The little bee turned into smoke, and a beautiful little girl fell out. She fell right into Han Sen's arms. Han Sen discovered it was Bauer who had fallen out. Bauer! She was wearing a big pair of sunglasses. Bauer was clinging to Han Sen's neck. She laughed and asked, "Dad, where have you been lately? Why don't you play with Bauer anymore?" "I have recently." Han Sen thought of something. He slapped his legs and switched the topic of conversation. "How could I forget about the sunglasses?" In the next moment, Han Sen developed rapid excitement. He quickly picked up Bauer and asked, "Bauer, can you use these glasses to look like Dad?" Bauer tilted her head with confusion as she asked, "I can, but why would I want to look like you?" "Don't ask me that," Han Sen said. "Just quickly tell me how long you can become me for." One Bauer thought for a moment and said, "Your body of energy is strong. If I want to become you, it will cost me a lot of power. It will last around 1 hour. 1 hour? That is almost enough." Han Sen was quiet a moment and then said, "Try becoming Dad now." Bauer was very nice. She used her sunglasses to scan Han's senator not long after. She successfully turned into Han Sr. "Can you use this?" Han Sen reached out his hand. His hand had the flame of the Xian Yellow Sutra. "Like this." Bauer reached out her hand. Her hand was just like his. She had the Xian Yellow Sutra's flame. Han Sen was very happy. He used a few Geno arts. He soon found out the Geno arts Bauer could use were his xenogeniac Geno arts. They included Blood Pulse Sutra, Xian Yellow Sutra, and Jade Skin. She was able to use those Geno arts. The Dongxian Sutra and the Story of Genes were something she was unable to cast. Han Sen's heart jumped. He transformed into xenogeniac battle body mode and told Bauer, "What about this? Can you look like me right now?" Bauer used her sunglasses and scanned him again. She successfully turned into the Han Sen xenogeniac mode. Like before, while she was in xenogeniac mode, she was only able to use Jade Skin and Blood Pulse Sutra. She was still unable to use the Dongxian Sutra and the Story of Genes. Regarding the Super God Spirit mode, no matter what mode she was in, Bauer could not make use of it. Han Sen thought, "It's just enough. Bauer can use xenogenic mode to disguise herself as Dollar, and I can come out representing myself Han Sr. He gave Bauer the evil lotus ring, Skybone armor, and Kill Sky hammer to see if she could effectively use them. Bauer used the evil lotus ring and Skybone armor. The evil lotus ring shone with a purple light. It turned into a purple shadow that covered her body. This was the evil lotus by Sima. It had good resistance to every power. It was good stuff for the purpose of surviving. The Skybone armor had a knife light. It was like many knife lights protecting Bauer. The Skybone armor was a very rare armament that could attack and defend. The knife light protected the body to provide powerful defense. And the knife light was also like a saw that could strike things. It was very powerful. The Kill Sky hammer was able to break space in a single hit. The power it possessed was ridiculous. Any Sima would break under the Kill Sky hammer. When Bauer enters xenogenic mode, she is very powerful. With these 3 god personality armaments and me next to her, she should be fine. She will just leave if anything bad happens. Han-sun thought this was doable. He explained things to her once and asked if she wanted to take part. Bauer can become Dollar Dad. That will be so fun. Bauer will love it. Bauer looked very excited. Moment God's power is unpredictable. Han-sun told Bauer. You need to be careful. Listen to my commands. You will enter the God Temple later, and you will be the first one to leave. You cannot risk fighting Moment God. Just pretend and swing the hammer a few times. Your father has got this. Little Angel had been drinking Geno fluid by the gallon, and she was almost maxed out. She still probably would not catch up and be at what was required for the fight in that God Temple just yet. The next day, Han-sun had to meet up with Fox Queen. He became Dollar and wore the Sky God crown. He returned to his God of Wealth Temple. The God of Wealth Temple had just opened. Fox Queen secretly came before the God Temple. While still outside, she said, I am Fox Queen. Please, let me see you, Mr. God of Wealth. Come in. Han-sun stood atop his altar. He looked very serious when he spoke. Greetings, mister. After Fox Queen entered the temple, she bowed. What I promised you is possible, Han-sun coldly said. Were you doubting my power? I would never dream of doing that. It's just the 9-spin destiny mirror is too important to the fox race. That is why I feel very nervous. Please forgive me. Fox Queen was very scared as she kowtowed. At the same time, she was very excited. Humph. Take it. Han-sun's heart jumped. The 9-spin destiny mirror appeared in the air. It flew toward Fox Queen. When Fox Queen had the 9-spin destiny mirror in her hands, the Sky God crown displayed a message in Han-sun's head. Wish fulfilled. Received 300 lifespan. An additional requirement master and slave contract is available. Many lifespan years flew out of Fox Queen and went toward Han. Senator Han-sun witnessed his lifespan increase. He had a lifespan of another 300 years. His total lifespan was almost 3,000 years now. Han-sun also saw that Fox Queen's forehead had a mark that said, God of Wealth's Wealth. It had some special connection to the Sky God crown. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.